Welcome to Impact Learning Tutorials, and in this video we're going to be looking at preventing injury in sport. So this video is going to contain the various ways of assessing and preventing injury in sport, whilst also being able to identify how the chances of injury can be reduced. So some methods of assessing risks. The first one we're going to look at is a PARQ questionnaire. This is used in many gyms and fitness centres across the country as a form of assessing someone's readiness for sport or physical activity. The way it does this is through obtaining a client's medical information and any conditions that they may have through a questionnaire. This then helps those responsible for leading the session to be able to make adaptations or have procedures in place in the event of an emergency. For example, if a client has an allergic reaction, they know the procedure to follow, or if a client has asthma, they know to adapt their session accordingly so that that individual is not harmed. Another way we can assess risks in sport is through a risk assessment document. So this is a document that lists all the potential hazards and the procedures required to reduce any risks ahead of a session. It's an essential requirement to ensure the safety of venues to prevent them being liable should an accident happen there. So here you can see an example of a risk assessment that I've used for a football coaching session. So you can see at the top hazards, existing controls, severity, likelihood, risk rating, and also the responsible person clearly listed. So if we use the first hazard, which is goalposts, an existing control that's already in place is that goalposts are checked before every session for damage to the nets or posts, and also they need to be appropriately anchored and secured to prevent them from falling over. So you can see the severity of the risk is medium, the likelihood of this happening is medium, although it does have a high risk rating because if a goalpost does fall on a child, then this could do some serious damage, and the responsible person for this is all the coaches that are present. If you'd like to pause the video here and have a look through the risk assessment in more detail, feel free to do so. So moving on to how can we prevent injury in sport. Having an appropriate warm-up is essential to reducing the chances of injury. So a successful warm-up should involve some form of cardiovascular exercise to increase heart rate, so this could be jogging, running or cycling. Some form of dynamic stretches, so this could be high knees, heel flicks or arm circles. And then some sport related activation. So for example, if we're using football, it could be a little bit of passing, or if we're doing hockey, it could be a little bit of dribbling. Something that's going to get the body prepared using the movements that are relevant to that sport. So protective equipment. For the sport that someone's going to be playing, it's important that they're aware of the correct protective equipment. So you can see here some examples of protective equipment are as follows. So for cricket, it could be a helmet, pad and some gloves. For a goalkeeper in football, it could be goalie gloves and shin pads for the outfielders, whilst also wearing the proper football boots. And for rugby, this could be a gum shield. So moving on to abiding by the rules. By playing by the rules, this enables a competitive, but most importantly, a safe environment to play in. In sporting activities where rules are not enforced, this is when accidents will happen. So it's important that coaches, players and officials are aware of the rules and they enforce consequences should these rules not be followed. Finally, the correct lifting techniques. So especially those doing resistance or weight training programs, it's important that the correct lifting techniques are used. So this could be done through an introductory session where the correct techniques are demonstrated by somebody who has qualifications in this to prevent any injuries happening in the future. We hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe to keep up to date with our latest tutorials.